1 second, we're on live. So you're gonna have to Skype me if you want to tell me anything. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the last evening of the Bootstrap Software Summit. I'm getting Dane here on just one quick minute. We're getting this piece loaded up. So thank you guys for coming on. We have an epic evening planned for you. Tonight, we're gonna be going over the top lessons that we've learned from the summit. So over the past 4 days, you've watched over 30 interviews with some of the best founders in software, some of the most talented entrepreneurs who have bootstrapped companies from 6, 7 to 8 figures in revenue and beyond. And oops, is that you? You're on here?
You're on here?
You're welcome. Can you mute yourself? There we go. So founders who have bootstrapped to 6, 7, and 8 figures and beyond. And over the course of the past 4 days, after doing all of these interviews, I've noticed that there have been trends and there's been commonalities. And Dane, if you listen to his interview on Mixergy, he talks about pattern recognition. And pattern recognition is a way to rapidly speed up your results with anything that you want to achieve. And what we want to talk about tonight are what are the patterns that we've spotted among these successful entrepreneurs, among these founders who have bootstrapped companies. When you study, 30 or 40 of them and go through the nitty-gritty details of how they started their company, where they got their first customers, how they funded it, how they scaled it, you begin to see that there's about 7 to 10 ideas that almost all of them follow religiously. And if you're bootstrapping, you're going to want to know what these are so you can follow them too. Dane, welcome, man. Can I hear you? Testing, you're muted.
Yes, you can. Hey, thanks, man. I'm excited to see these things that you've learned and offer any reflections on them. And hello to everyone listening. This is our final hangout. Is that right?
This is our final hangout of the summit.
Wow.
I know, it's pretty crazy. It's been pretty phenomenal. The feedback's been so good. All right. Okay, we're almost there. Welcome. Okay, we got chat up. So yeah, it's been pretty phenomenal. Let's get into it, shall we? 7:02. We're gonna have some more people coming on, but we'll just wait until those numbers start racking up a little bit. So number one, the one thing that stood out, we're gonna call these the 10 commandments of bootstrapping. For those of you who are bootstrapping. And the number one, the most important thing, I think that if you're starting a company and you're bootstrapping from scratch that you need to keep in mind, and this is a lesson that Dane and I have learned the hard way over and over in our lives, is this: know what you want and stick to it. Now, what's funny is that throughout all of these interviews, there was only one person to say it explicitly. If I would have asked all of these people what made them successful, this wouldn't typically be an answer that they give. Jason Fried did. We talked about this a little bit last night, Dane, where I asked him, why do a lot of people fail? And his response really struck me. And he said they fail because they don't know what they want. Because if you know what you want, you can go for it and you can be committed to it. And if you don't know what you want, you'll just get blown from this thing to that thing, and you'll change directions a whole bunch of times because you're not clear on what it is that you want or what it is that you're creating. The most accomplished entrepreneurs that I admire and respect are the ones that are principled and live by this clear set of values. And I think Jason Fried is one of the epitomes of that.
It helps become pretty concrete for me, Andy, when you say they have this clear set of values, because I can feel the areas in my life where I'm feeling a little less potent, the areas in my life where I'm feeling a little more helpless, are those areas where I'm not clear on what it is that I want. And I actually think it might be nice to beef up this for the serious folks that have been joining us, the after parties. Thanks for joining. We hope that you keep coming back because you like it, and that not because you don't have anything else better to do. And I think, first is knowing what you want, but then really, once you really know it, for me, it's sticking to it after I know what I want. Because, we've had foundation students, and they're like, man, I don't care about making 50 grand a month. I just want to live a sick lifestyle and like work very little.
Mhm.
And then you ask them how they prioritize, like what like if they actually live by that, right? Like, well, what's the first thing you do in the morning? How do you wake up? What do you do here, 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 and here? And you see that what they want in their actions really, like, it's like that what they want hasn't crossed the threshold into like this concrete action. It's, the 99% commitment would be a bitch. 100% commitment would be a breeze. And so, and if you're clear on what you want, you're like, I want to have a $10,000 per month business, then you know what to say yes to, you know what to say no to. When we first started the foundation, I had, a guy once asked me, he's like, hey, Dane, can I join the foundation for free and give you equity for my business? And I just replied back, no. And then he replied back and he's like, why don't you want to do that? And I was like, look, I'll buy equity in your business. You can buy the foundation. I don't do bartering. Because I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted the money exchanged for value, and I would buy his thing and he would buy my thing. I've really been really clear about, in the past, I've really, really disliked bartering. I've really, really disliked bartering. I've really, really, really disliked bartering.
Hey, Dane, have you really disliked bartering?
Hey, and you know what? I'll make a website for you if you can do my email marketing campaign. It's like, come on. How about I pay for a website, you pay for an email marketing campaign? Bartering, I don't see too many financially successful people bartering.
Mm-hmm.
I see bartering is done at the levels of, there's exceptions to the rule. But so first is getting clear on what you want. And
so this is one thing.
It's hard.
One thing
right?
I want to add in here. Yeah, Kirill just joined. I think I'm saying your name right. And Kirill, I hope you don't mind if I share this. If you don't want me to talk about, just say something now. But he emailed because he was really on the bandwagon, and then got off of it for a while. And Kirill, I think one of the things for you is, like, a reflection that I would have for you is to get reconnected to that sense of desire, that sense of drive, that sense of clarity of knowing the lifestyle that it is that you want to live, and not letting anything else get in your way, not letting your parents, not letting your studies from college get in the way, like committing to that fully. And I think when you have that clarity, life becomes so much simpler, for me anyway. When I get really clear on a vision that I want, everything else just falls off, and I know what to say yes to, and I know what to say no to, and it's just, life becomes so much more simple. I love it.
I've been getting quite scared about what I want as I transition into music. Like when I'm writing a song, like I'm trying to maybe write something that people want to hear as opposed to the way that I would want to sing it. And it's very parallel to business. But, Andy, when you, for those, this really is very important. And I'm actually going to like get off this hangout and probably write in my journal a little bit more about this topic. I mean, this is really touching me deeply right now, because when I was 22, I really knew what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I wanted to not exchange time for money. I knew that I wanted to make a lot of money. I knew that I didn't want to work for anyone else. And so it was so strong that I would have a girlfriend at the time say, Dane, what are you doing? You should go work downtown and put on a suit and be a businessman. And I said, no. I think I may have cursed a little bit. I was like, F no. I know what I want. I could have been kinder, but maybe I cursed inside. I was like, I ain't gonna go do that, I don't usually say ain't much either. It's only when I'm angry. Then my father would show me, my father just wanting to support me. One day he's like, Dane, you may start the next buy.com. Back when Buy and Amazon were kind of close. And then, other days he would show me a job wanted ad for like an IT specialist for a grocery store. And that would get presented to me, and I would have to stay clear on what I wanted. And, I actually really kind of count my blessings that I was able to stay so strong in that, because it was that really strong wanting that actually created the world I live in.
Totally.
And Jason Fried lives, I think, in one of the best worlds in business,
dude,
of any businessman I know.
And it's like I'm so blown away by it, because so if you're joining, we're getting more people joining right now. If you're joining, we're talking about the number one lesson that we've learned from the summit so far, which is a lesson Dane and I have learned over and over in our lives, which is to be crystal clear on what you want and to never deviate from that. And what I'm so impressed with Jason by is I think as you get success by being crystal clear on what you want and committing to it. And as that success comes, more and more opportunities. And so your options get bigger and bigger and bigger. And yet he has consistently maintained his principles and his values, and he hasn't strayed from them. And that's what's created this remarkable business and company that he has.
You know, and apparently when Sergey or Larry took over, one of the guys took over Google as a CEO, he called up Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs is alive. So the story goes, this is my uncle told me this story, so I don't know how many times he played telephone. But, you know, he called Steve and he said, Steve, what do I do with Google? And Steve's like, cut out all your products, focus on 5. Focus on 5, figure out the 5 you want, focus on them, don't deviate. You know,
so if you're listening to that, Google's a massive company. Focus on 1. Right where you're at right now. 1 thing. Just 1.
You know, oddly, at the monastery I was meditating at, a guy worked at Google there, and he said that Google could be run with a couple hundred employees. That's how automated everything is at Google. I was like, are you sure? Are there like 30,000 employees at Google? I don't know. It's random fodder, guys. But like, back to this. This is this really important point. Like you said, know what you want and never deviate from it.
Yep.
I have a very, very hard time with the never deviate. Because I think it's true. But like, there's the, you know, never is like, you might want to take exceptions every once in a while, but like, it's wild. Like, you know, I'm curious if people listening, those of you guys listening, are you clear about what it is that you want? I'd love to hear what the clear, specific things people say they want are. Totally. When it comes to business, it's a whole different ballgame, because see, what happens in business is you come in with a set of traditional beliefs. So it says, you know, like, it's not, when you get into business, it's like not about what you want, but it's about what other people tell you to expect. So you expect to struggle for 3 years before you make a profit, or you expect to raise money instead of start, because you've got all these beliefs that you're bringing to the table in business. But you can actually bring whatever it is you want. So one last example, Andy, that I love, and this comes from being connected to the world of Dan Kennedy. Now, Dan Kennedy's a great marketer. I recommend anybody look him up. I also just offer my tentative caution with him that his energy can be a little negative sometimes. And so you just take it with a grain of salt. He's also seems like a fantastic human being. It's just his writing can sometimes come up a little negative. Anyway, one of his students was a real estate agent. This is a perfect example. This real estate agent said that he wanted to work 9 to 5, and he didn't want to work weekends. Well, what's real estate typically dominated by, right? You work weekends, you pick up your phone when buyers and sellers call, you got to work at the hours when everyone else isn't working so you can buy and sell homes. So this realtor says, no, I'm going to focus on what I want. I work 9 to 5. I don't work weekends. My phone is off by 6 p.m. I don't take calls. So he got really clear on what he wanted. And all of a sudden, this reality started to form around his world where he focused on only working with real estate investors. Then he told all real estate investors, you can't contact me after 6 p.m. I'm with my family. And then he ended up building a very substantial 6-figure business, only working like 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it was. And he didn't work weekends. And he had a 6-figure income as a real estate agent because he focused on what he wanted. So when I say it's what you want, it's try if you can to reenact your dreams, reenact that reality that causes you to kind of tickle yourself. Be like, wow, this could actually be real for me, and get really clear on it. Even if other realtors are telling you, making fun of you. What happened is this guy ended up teaching many of the real estate agents that were like, around the country. He created a program to teach realtors how to work 9 to 5 because he started with what he wants. So Jason Fried spoke some great wisdom. I think it's a great first lesson of the lessons learned, Andy.
Totally. So that's the first lesson. If you take this one thing away, like hearing all of this, I'm reminded of how scattered I am right now. And if you take one thing away from tonight, and this is the only thing, it will be worth all of the time that you spend on this call.
So, Andy, what are you clear about that you want in the realm of business?
It's a great question.
It can be maybe a little more meta.
What's that?
You've told me what it is.
Yeah, at this point, the purpose, you know what happened to me, Dane? I started off similar, where I got really clear on what I wanted when I was young, and it was all about travel and play for me. And that's the whole reason I got into business, is because I wanted to travel and explore the world. And then I think right before I went to Bali, there was like this whole identity crisis thing that was happening for me of, I spent the past 7 years wanting something really, really badly. And then I got it. And I got like, our business was doing pretty well. I had the freedom to work and to play and to travel. I met Libby and fell in love, and I got to do all the things that I wanted to do. And I felt like it's time to update that vision of what I want my reality to look like in 10 years from now. And I feel like I'm still kind of in that right now. One of the things I do every year is this Vision Day process. Did you go through it last year?
No.
You should go through it this year. I'm gonna host a webinar for it. I might host a live event in Boulder for it. But it's basically a 2-hour workshop where you get crystal clear on what you want for the next year of your life. And Libby and I do it. We do it every year and then every quarter. And Libby she found her, so we print these out and we put them by our bed, or we put them on our refrigerator. And Libby just re-saw hers today, because sometimes you put them there and you forget about them. And it was the vision that she wrote 3 months ago. And it's just wild how accurate these things can be. So I feel a little scattered with it, but I'm ready to get reconnected to it.
Well, one of the things you said you wanted to have a great team and build a cool product and make a good income.
Oh yeah. At the simplest level, I want to work with people that I love. I want to build products that change people's lives. And I want to live an epic life with Libby. Like that at the highest level is what I want. So what that nixes for me is, I don't want people controlling my time, whether working for people or raising money. I don't want to have a massive team. I don't want to have like 100-person company. It's just not what I want. Jason Fried, like they could be, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars they're doing. I think it's a lot. And they still have 30 or 40 people.
Yeah, Jason,
he's just fucking good.
He prints more money than the Federal Reserve.
So we got some comments in here. Chris talks about what he wants, wanting to teach people how to live above the strategy line in business, above the wellness line physically, and have peace mentally, spiritually. In a nutshell, I love that. Wants Aniko wants financial freedom to live the way that she wants to, not based on how much money I have. Joe has an idea of what he wants in his head, haven't sat down and nailed down specifics. Come to the Vision Day webinar. You remember the year review podcast episode? Yeah, we're going to do that one again. It's updated for this year, so it'll be a good one. William, this is so powerful. I had an epiphany. Oh, so great. Crack Hoden's here. Crack Hoden asked the question last night to John Loger about, isn't that kind of sleazy to do that? Yeah. He says, I had an epiphany last night after the discussion where we discussed selling value versus selling time. I've done some work in freelance web dev, so the example used was especially convincing to me. Not only the difference between selling a $500 website and a $5,000 website is marketing. If you can spare a few moments, can you please speak about how one can articulate value to a potential client? Kirill, will you make the vision workshop in the webinar format this year? The last one.
Andy, what's number two?
Number two. Going into number two. So number one, know exactly what you want. Number two, learn to sell. So I did all of these interviews, Dane, 30 some interviews. The common thread in almost all of them is that all entrepreneurs are good at selling, with the exception of two people. One was Peldy from Balsamic. And this is like, I wouldn't say that they're not good at selling. That's not quite the language that I want to use. But what I want to say is that they're more focused on product. And they focus on product as a way to sell by building something really, 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 really good. So Peldy from Balsamic never has taken a marketing class in his life. doesn't look at numbers when he runs his business. They run a $7 million company. He doesn't look at any of the numbers or metrics. And he only wants to grow at 3 to 5% year to year, which is really fascinating to me. And Rob Whaling, who's also
like a guy who's really clear about what he wants.
He's exactly clear about what he wants. He nets $2 million a year. He's like, I'm netting $2 million a year. My kids are going to take this over when I'm done with this. Like, this is a great business. Why would I want anything to be different? It's more money than I could spend. So these are the exceptions, though, guys. The exceptions are they focus on product. Everybody else knows how to sell. And they drill selling. They've done it over and over. A common thread, you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs who've taken sales courses. They've done door-to-door selling. They've done cold calling. If you've never done any of that, if you haven't studied any of Robert Cialdini's stuff, you're behind. You have to learn the art of influence. Regardless of what you do, like life at some level is about influence. Whether you're, you know what I love about hanging out with you, Dane, and other entrepreneurs? It's like when we hang out together, reality gets disrupted, because anytime that we hear no, it's always just like the first objection. It's like, oh no, you can't do that. Well, what about this? Or what about this? If you want a hotel room, it's like, oh, can we have the top floor one? Well, and it's just that type of stuff is so fun to me. So lesson number 2, learn to sell. Thoughts on this, Dane?
Many thoughts on learn to sell. Let's go to the next one. Unless you want to stay on learn to sell. I mean,
it's simple enough.
Learn to sell might be a little too simple that it goes over people's heads. I once heard someone say that the secrets are so secret that they could be right in front of your face and you wouldn't recognize that it's a secret.
Yeah.
And learn to sell. And learn to sell is like, I think of selling as being really kind. You know, it's kind of just like to push very gently, like one extra step every time. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I sat out at a table tonight for dinner, and we had a really nice table, and the lady came and she's like, oh, sorry, you guys can't sit here. This is a table for 6. You know, and you're only 2 people at the table. And so usually, you know, you would just get up, and I was like, yeah, let me lean in a little. So I said, well, is it okay if we stay? And then, you know, if a table of 6 comes, we'll just get up and leave. And she's like, well, you know, if you start eating, it might be kind of hard to move, and et cetera. So it's like, okay, we'll move. You know? But instead of really just moving quickly, I leaned in, and that extra step that I took it a lot.
Yeah.
In business, I took it a lot. For example, so a quick example is, you know, we had this product, paperless pipeline, and it would take a real estate company about 2 months to decide purchasing the product. Well, I really sucked to wait 2 months to try to get a sale. So I created a product that they could buy in the meantime that they would pay for while they would buy paperless pipeline. And it was an interview series where they paid $55 a month, and there'd be an interview with a real estate company on how they recruit, retain, and add profit centers to their business on every interview. You know, like these podcasts that give away, you know, a podcast a day for free. I was selling one interview for $50 a month because of the way it was positioned. So the guy who was asking about how do you articulate value, well, it's straightforward once you learn it. And so, you know, I learned it. So I get a real estate company on the phone. They say, okay, Dane, they're considering paperless pipeline. And they say something like, well, all right, thanks, Dane. Let me get to my team and we'll think about it and get back to you. And here I am left with nothing at the end of the call. So I say, all right, well, that's awesome. So while you're actually considering that, I have a quick question for you. Sure. Would you be interested in what the top real estate companies are doing right now in this current economy to recruit, retain, and add profit centers to their business? Every single broker. Yes, I would. Cool. I've got this service called the Broker Roundtable where I interview a broker every month. I put it on a CD. You can put it in your car. You can listen to it to and from work. And you can learn how these brokers are recruiting, retaining, and adding profit centers. The cost is $50 a month or $600 for a year. So you're looking at $600 for a year, and just one idea from one interview could probably net you far beyond $600 for the year. You're probably looking at a return every month if you listen to the interviews. Does that sound like a value to you? Yeah, sounds like a great value. Great. And he's like, okay, well, go ahead and send me a brochure and I'll think about it. All right, there it is. I push just gently, like put my foot right through a little force field bubble into his bubble, and I just stick my foot in and I say, well, why don't we do this? Instead of me sending you a brochure, why don't I just send you a CD? So you can just listen to the product and let it speak for itself. So you're not reading some pamphlet. You're just experiencing the product and you can let that speak for itself. I'll send it to you for free. All you just pay is shipping and handling. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Okay, great. Which kind of credit card would you like to use? Boom. Now I've got his money. I've got $5 shipping and handling. I put in his credit card. I click submit. I say, great, the CD's on the way. It should be there within a few days. If you like it, I want to let you know how it works moving forward. If you like it, just let me, if you like it, don't do a thing. I'll send you the next CD next month. You'll be billed $50 plus shipping and handling. And if you don't like it, just let me know and I'll cancel. If you don't like it and you forget and I send you the CD and you didn't want it, just email me. I'll refund you everything and you can keep the CD at my expense. And he said, all right, yeah, all right, great. So you notice learn to sell. What that really means, I hope, is illustrated in that story. You kind of lean in, and you find that with sales, it starts to take on a fun, playful energy. It's not selling like at a car. It's not selling like you go to a car dealership and you look at a car and you're not interested in the car. The car salesman starts telling you about the windshield wipers, starts telling you about the stereo, starts telling you about the windows, starts telling you about the car salesman starts feature dumping on you at a car lot, and you're like, this is awful. Mm-hmm. We're talking about learn to sell, maybe, learn to connect.
Yeah, it's really interesting because done properly, everybody wins.
Yeah. And has fun.
Yeah, it's not so much like I'm going to get this from you type energy, which is what I feel at used car sales lots, where you get people on the phone and they just keep pushing. I think there's an element of like pushing, but it's subtle, but it's very different of like being with the person and being like, okay, so you don't want this, but what about this? Would you be interested in this? It's like, okay, yeah, I would be interested in that. Well, let me tell you how this one works. And yeah,
so a lot of that is really kind of that, you sit down in sales events or whatever, and it's about, okay, how to close. And I think, Andy, if I speak on behalf of both of us, for us, it's really about more how to connect and provide that person with a win than for us how to close a sale.
Totally. So one, if you guys are just joining, recapping our lesson so far, one, know exactly what you want in business and never deviate from it. These are the commandments of bootstrapping. Two, learn to sell, which we could articulate better. Learn influence is really what it is. Three, focus on the pain of the customer. Constantly be hunting for where does your customer experience pain and how can you alleviate that pain for them. It was so interesting. We talked about Clay last night a little bit. Clay Collins, he was giving these templates out for free for people, and on the blog giving these templates that convert for people for free, and they just kept asking him, hey, can you show me how to install this? Can you show me how to install this? And he was annoyed that people were asking. And then something shifted for him and he was like, wait a second, they must be experiencing pain doing that. What if I just did that for them? And that was the birth of lead pages. If he wasn't focused on pain, he would have missed the entire idea for lead pages. What was interesting to me, Dane, was that we did 30 some interviews, and the majority of the entrepreneurs who have built software companies were solving painful problems they experienced themselves. It doesn't have to be that way. I think one of the things that we preach
Say it again.
The majority of the entrepreneurs were solving problems that they experienced. They experienced the pain firsthand, and that's why they're building the company around it. One of the reasons I say this is that in the foundation, we teach a lot to like find what the pains that people are experiencing. But less often do we preach what pains are you experiencing in your life right now that you could be able to solve. So I thought that was just an interesting distinguishment among all the interviews from people.
A distinguishment.
Mm-hmm. Distinguishment? Is that a word? A distinguishment?
I don't know. We should poll the audience, the 28 folks that are on the chat right now. There's more probably watching the video.
28 on the chat. We got 60 on the live stream.
Well, you know,
Oh,
Andy,
yeah.
what's the third distinguishment?
No, that was that was lesson number 3.
Oh, the
Lesson
pain.
4.
That's right.
So lesson 3, focus on.
Hold on a second. So, okay, we're cooking.
These two are gonna tie in together, which is why
can I elaborate on the third one first, or do you want to say it and then I'll elaborate? You choose.
I'm gonna. These two tie together really well, so I'm gonna tell 3 and 4 at the same time. So 3, focus on the pain of the customer, and 4, build a great product. Now, building a great product is kind of table stakes nowadays. Like, you have to have a great product. The reason that these tie together is because the best products that are out there are so focused on solving the pain. That's where all the best feature sets come from people. So those are the 2. Now you can talk about what you want to talk about.
Yes. All right. The attention's on me again. I really like this. I'm a Leo. Here we go. You know, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said a line there once. You know, the richest people in the world simplify problems for other people. And I was like, Google simplifies a pretty big problem. Yeah, that actually seems like it applies. You know, here we are years later. But can you say build a great product a little differently? Is it like build a product that solves the pain, or like what is that build a great? Because like build a great product, I hear that all the time. Like, can you make it more concrete so it feels actionable?
Good question. You know, what's interesting.
Could you say like build a not bloated product, or like potentially people like a great product is like, wow, a great product's a lot of work. But in the case of like some of these products, it's actually not.
Maybe it's this still seems a little esoterical too, but you want to build a product people love to use, because what happens with a lot of these software companies is that they get going, and then around like the $20,000 to $30,000 a month mark, this like energy kicks in, which is the word of mouth marketing, and that stuff spirals up as the company grows. So Nathan Barry saw this hugely with ConvertKit, where he got to 25 grand a month. Then he got Pat Flynn on it and a few other people, and then the thing just took off from there because it was a product that people love to use. So it seems like table stakes. I don't actually have great tactical, like, here's how you build a great product, other than the fact that you want people to love using it.
Well, I think we should think through it a little more. So you think about build a great product. You've got like let's take Clay Collins with lead pages. You know, you've got a product, and essentially it started out as only landing pages. Or you've got other SaaS solutions that are like, you know, Squarespace or WordPress that are entire content management system website platforms. And then Clay's like, oh no, we just do landing pages. Mm-hmm. You know, very simplified product. And he built the first version in 2-3 months.
Yeah.
It was a very simple, straightforward products. It just helped people with landing pages. So you have this find the pain, the next one's build a great product. Great is the word that you'd want to add nuance to, and great looks like not bloated. It looks like it does one thing really well. It starts out of just doing one thing really well. Mm-hmm. Build a product that does one thing really well would be a nice way to kind of think about it. Yeah, my example is kind of a waste of my breath at this point. So what's the next one?
Okay, great. I'm going through. So we've got 3, focus on the pain of the customer. 4, build a product people love to use, or build a great product. 5, validate your ideas by pre-selling. Always validate your ideas by pre-selling. And I think depending on what phase of entrepreneurship, you can adjust that dial of how much energy do you want to put into the product before you actually take it to market. Ryan Levesque was a great example. He went through the process of putting a lot of money into something. It just didn't work that well. He had to start all over from scratch. He started all over from scratch, and then he pre-sold it. This was a month ago, by the way. Pre-sold it using the Tesla reservation model, which I thought was genius. And on launch day was generating 50 to 60 grand a month in revenue from the pre-sales.
Was this the survey product?
Yeah, bucket.io.
And he rebuilt it after he found out what people actually wanted?
Yep.
And what's the Tesla reservation model?
So Tesla, when they sold their cars, the way that they sold that, Tesla pre-sells stuff too, which is hilarious. They pre-sold their cars. They said, if you want a car, it's going to cost 35 grand. You put $1,000 down today, and you'll get a number for when you'll be in line. And then as we build the cars, you'll get whatever number car that comes off the assembly line. So if you're number two in line. If you're 10,000, you might be waiting a year and a half to get it. And that was his way of being able to sell hard at the beginning and pre-sell it and get a lot of revenue in the door, but to not have to have the problem of pre-selling super hard and then having too much demand at the beginning and everything going crazy and not being able to deliver a positive experience from the
Gosh, that's crazy how much just one few different things can make a big difference like that.
So smart. So build a product people love to use, validate your ideas by pre-selling. And then the other one that feels like I feel a lot of affection and like a lot of energy behind, similar to the first one. Lesson number 6, focus on one thing at a time, specifically when it comes to marketing and sales. So Clay with lead pages, Clay got started with lead pages for a year. He was doing the blog templates. It was like 9 months or so. Write a big blog post, give out the template. Write a big blog post, give out the template. This is what he was doing with his little video marketing show. Then after he got all that working and that system in for generating leads, then he shifted to webinars. And he spent another year just doing webinars every single day. So his whole strategy for how he's built lead pages was that he does one marketing strategy, goes fully with that one marketing strategy, and then moves on to the next, goes fully into that one marketing strategy to the point where it's optimized and where he can hand it off to somebody else who can run it. And then he goes on and creates the next thing. David Hauser with paid traffic with Chargeify, when he was in his dorm room, and within 3 months got Chargeify up to 10 grand a month in revenue when he was 20 years old, because he went so deep on Google Ads in 2003 before Google Ads were like a big thing and they were super undervalued. So now any time he starts building a business, the first place that he goes is paid traffic to get paid traffic rocking.
I think I'm reading the chat here, Andy, and I think of focus on the pain, a great one alternate way to say that, because guys, this is a document that we're kind of living and breathing and iterating as we're saying it, would be not focus on the pain, but articulate or articulate the pain in your own customer's words. So yeah, focus on the pain. That's an option, Andy, to consider, is articulate the pain, the customer's pain in their own words. That's like you're in a whole different ballpark if you're doing that.
Nice.
And also distinguishment is actually a word. So I bite my tongue.
I checked already. Do you have thoughts on focus on one thing at a time?
That's how I did it. I had a list of 3,600 real estate companies, and in 2 years, I had 5% of all of them paying me some monthly fee. And what I did is I sent an email on average once every 2 weeks promoting a webinar that would be teaching some educational topic. And during that webinar, I'd be pitching my software companies to the real estate offices. And in 2 years, 3,500, 3,600 at 150, 175 brokers paying me multiples of hundreds of dollars a month. And I just sent an email every 2 weeks. It just worked far, far better than
Totally.
anything else. And yeah,
When
I
you
really
launch
like to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah.
When you launch Foundation, focus only on interviews and podcasts from the beginning. It's
one landing page, one offer.
One landing page, one offer, one funnel, one thing working.
It's a pretty peaceful feeling to do for me when I'm focused on that one thing. It's like, and there's a level of mastery that I get to feel when I'm doing that one thing.
Man, yeah, it's really good. I was rereading Essentialism this week because I feel kind of scattered in my life right now. It's like there's multiple things going on, and
dude, your life is scattered right now.
It is scattered, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And the simplicity and the relaxing that comes from just like, okay, for 3 months or whatever it is, 3 months, this is the one thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this every day, and I'm going to figure this thing out. And then when that's dialed in, go to the next thing. Versus people, trying to do this thing and trying to do that thing and trying to do this thing. And then you're doing 7 things, but none of them actually get any progress or take off.
So when you guys, this really helps. I think this really helps for those of you just getting into business for the first time, those of you considering the foundation, those of you wanting to start something. Your first real task is to do all the work required, both with your mindset, both with everything, to get your first painful idea that someone will pay for. Like that would be your first real tangible, super exciting milestone. The first time that you get that painful idea that the person's like, oh man, I would love to pay for that. And you're like, holy crap, I found something that someone will want to pay for. When you get to that moment, you have that euphoric feeling. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. To get there, to have the greatest peace of mind, if you've only got an hour or 2 a day, you focus on the one best way for you to consistently get into those conversations to find those painful problems. So you might find that you're targeting, let's say you're targeting a niche of, hold on, let me pick up a little niche here. For example, for whatever reason, this is probably a really bad niche, but people that are obsessed with the game Magic the Gathering. I don't know if they would spend money, but it might be interesting. Those guys are, in my recollection, nuts. They'll wait in line, overnight for the next Magic the Gathering, whatever it is, if they have updates or release of that. But they'll have like games, they'll have hangouts. But so let's say that you're going to talk to people at Magic the Gathering, and your intention is to create a Magic the Gathering app that helps them. That's like a rough intention. So your one thing you do is you go onto Facebook and you look up Magic the Gathering groups, and you're just focused on messaging 10 people from the Magic the Gathering group. And your message to that Magic the Gathering group is like, hey, I'm thinking about possibly making an app to help you win more Magic the Gathering games and slaughter all of your friends. Would you have any interest in chatting with me about this? And and you would literally send that message. P.S. You don't know me. I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. Like you might just say that. And then you might send that to 10 people a day. It's the one thing you do. You focus on that. Everything's peaceful. And you have the 10 conversations you message. You end up having these conversations. It leads you down this rabbit hole to the point where you actually end up creating a whole new variation of Matt, because you've discovered this whole new crazy idea, and you've been doing this one thing. And now all of a sudden you've reached out to the Magic the Gathering founders. You're like, hey, I've been talking to a lot of your fans, and they've been saying X, Y, and Z. Would you like to, I don't know, do something about it? But that's me just BSing that whole process. But I hope that helps you imagine how you could get started in entrepreneurship by just focusing on one thing.
So I think it requires such discipline to do it, and it's so good when people do. The thing that struck me the most about that example was that, and this is my experience of things, when you start with them and you just start talking with people and you start messaging and you get into the action and things start happening, and you might not be seeing any actual tangible results, but then all of a sudden you start understanding the market more. And then within a month or two, weird things start opening up. It happens consistently if you're committed to doing one thing over and over.
Can you say more about how you'll kind of go in with an ignorant assumption and then like you'll pivot into something completely else?
Totally. I'm building this software company out. One of the things that I started doing, I targeted Rockefeller Habits coaches. So I found the database of all the Rockefeller Habits coaches. I emailed all of them, and then I piss off two of the people who are like the lead coaches, because they're really well crafted emails that seem like you're speaking one-to-one, which I was, but then everybody got them. So these two people were annoyed with it. And so that was kind of like the first like shocking piece of like, oh crap, like what did I do? Did I screw this up? Are they never gonna like want to talk to me again? Blah, 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 blah. Like all of this starts coming up. And then that was from the first email. And then I actually got on the phone, and I got on the phone with 30, 40, 50, 60 coaches, and I start talking with them. And then it turns out most of the coaches are really unhappy with the software product that's there already. And then starting to talk with enough of the coaches, I use their feedback based off of all of the calls that we've done to keep morphing the product and make it more and more dialed. And then when I got a chance to hop on the phone with Cameron Harold, who's probably one of the top business coaches in the nation, when he saw the product, he absolutely loved it and wants to come on as an advisor to it. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like, it seemed like the first, you don't really know what's happening. You're just in motion. Then all of a sudden something goes through and something magical happens with it, if you're committed to doing it. So 7.
Next one.
Invest. So 6 is focus on one thing at a time. Number 7, invest in relationships and community. What was so interesting to me was I asked Clay and Jason. So a handful of these founders took money eventually, but they took money after they were already profitable and didn't need any of the money, right? So if you're Jason Fried and you bootstrapped an 8-figure business, why would you take money, and why would you want to give up equity in your company when it's already so valuable? If you're Clay Collins, you have lead pages and you're already rocking it, you have more cash than you can spend, why would you take on money? And what was so interesting to me was the mindset behind why both of them took money, was because it wasn't about the money. What it was about was they said, it's really hard to get access to unique minds who think in really critical ways. And the reason that Jason Fried took money from Jeff Bezos is because he wanted access to Jeff's mind consistently. And that was one of the only ways to do it. The reason Clay took money from the people he did is because he wanted the guidance and the mentoring from those people in his life and in his business to be able to reach the level that he wants to. So for the position that you're in, based off of where you're at, I think one of the most incredible things that you can invest in as a starting entrepreneur is in relationships with people who can either teach you more, or with a peer group who is going to help you through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship as you go through it. Thoughts on this one?
What was the 7th one, Andy? I've been chatting with people. Be like Dane?
No.
Be like Andy?
Invest in relationships and community.
Buy the foundation?
That's number 11.
Invest in relationships and community. How I'm guessing you probably just talked about how to do that.
I did just talk about it. So
I think it's a great one then.
Focus on one thing at a time. 7, invest in relationships and community. And 8, commit fully and put your back up against a wall. Carl Mattiola, when he joined the foundation, when he went into the foundation, he said, I'm either going to build something over the next 6 months or I'm going to give up on my dream of being an entrepreneur. That's how serious he was. Nathan Barry, the whole turning point with ConvertKit was when Heaton Shaw sat him down, and Heaton was like, you need to give up on ConvertKit. You need to either shut it down and do something else, or you need to commit fully and go into it, and stop, essentially pussyfooting around and being half committed to it.
Commit fully is a really nice way to say, instead of with your back against the wall, because the back against your wall, to me, it's kind of I feel trapped initially, kind of imagining that, versus like the choice of like just moving all in.
Totally. Commit fully.
Yeah. Going all in has been hard for me with just about everything. I've actually found ways to strategically not like go all into just about anything.
Totally.
Well, I'll just build an internet business, and I'll do a few of these small things, but like I don't want to go on like CNBC or like, like I don't want to get too big. Like let me kind of strategically have an out. But the thing that I committed fully to was my freedom. That was the full commitment to, above all else. And then I just found ways to, I don't know, I've been pretty good at bending reality. I don't know if that's true. What do you think, Andy?
So, yeah, I think this is a really, really good one for people who are getting started. I think it's a good one for us at this point too. I think it's a constant question of like, what do you want? What is the thing that you're focused on? And how committed to it are you? How in are you? 8, commit fully. Number 9, start before you're ready. This seemed to be the common theme with people, where they were always optimizing for speed, and they were always doing things that they were either unqualified to do, or not ready to do, or they didn't understand how to do it. But they were always starting and jumping and just figuring it out along the way.
Yeah, the underqualified thing is hilarious. I mean, I've been making stuff up my whole life.
I saw a post on Facebook the other day because it was in the Young Entrepreneur Council. They were interviewing an employee, a potential employee, and the question that the potential employee asked was, "What makes you qualified to run this business?" The guy was like, "Actually, I don't know, other than the fact that I built it." So good, so good. So quick recap, it's 7:52. So for those of you, we're up to 83 viewers now. So we've just been climbing steadily as the night goes on. I'm going to do a quick recap before we get into the last one. And then we'll tell you a little bit about if you guys really want to take this to the next level, how you can do that. So 1, know exactly what you want and never deviate from it. I'm taking notes on this. Number 2, learn to sell. Learn how to influence people. Number 3, find pain and articulate that pain in your customers' words. Number 4, build a product people love to use. Number 5, validate your ideas by pre-selling. Number 6, focus on one thing at a time. Number 7, invest in relationships and community. Number 8, commit fully. Number 9, start before you're ready. And number 10, the last one for the evening, be willing to pivot in any moment to better serve your customer. And this was really interesting. This didn't come through. I didn't actually give this one till I sat and asked myself what were the biggest lessons that I got from this. And I think being an entrepreneur, you're in this constant paradox of being focused and committed to what you want and what you're creating, and simultaneously being open to change directions or to pivot or to move in a moment's notice to better serve your customer. So Chris Brisson, do you remember Chris from Call Loop? So he built this teleseminar company. He spent the past year building it and hasn't made much progress on it. No, in a year, they've built the whole thing out. They've hardly got any sales with it. A month ago, Chris and I have been talking for the past few months. A month ago, he decides to drop it entirely and pursue another one. And within 3 weeks, he had 30 pre-sales for a brand new product that he had just wired up in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, he made more progress than he had in the whole past year because he was willing to listen to his customers.
What did he do?
He's building sales message. So if you guys go to sales, like I'll put it in chat here, salesmsg.com, which is basically, it's going to be like building an autoresponder and an email marketing for text messaging is what it is. So there's a bunch of colleges that he works with Call Loop, who are talking with these 18-year-olds that don't do email. Apparently 18-year-olds don't do email. They just text all day long. And so they need a way to be able to communicate with them that isn't on their phones. So he's building this out. It's stellar.
Yeah, this idea is so epic. Like I dare to say such a black and white statement, but I would say you probably never come up with this idea on your own. Yeah. That comes from diligent. Generally comes from diligent ear to your
being in it.
Yeah.
So guys, those are the 10 commandments of bootstrapping. We're going to write a nice long article about this at some point. If you guys are interested, if you guys have loved this summit and you've been enjoying these after parties and calls, now is the time to apply to the foundation. We're going to be going through applications this weekend and figuring out who's going to be a fit for our next class. This next class, I don't know if you guys have heard, if you've been paying attention or have noticed, but it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. It's the last class. Dane's going to be a part of full-time in it. And so we're upping the amount of personal attention you get. So you're going to get 2 phone calls a week with either me or Dane. But the cool thing with this class is that Andrew Warner is also going to be a part of our mentors. So if you can imagine what would happen to your life if for twice a week you had access to me and Dane and Andrew Warner to guide you and to help you stay focused on what it is that you're creating, what might open up for you over the course of 6 months. If that's intriguing for you, now is the time to apply to the foundation. I think this is going to be one of the most unique classes that we've ever built, and we would love for you to be a part of it if it's something that you guys are interested in continuing on with.
I like the foundation. I really like what it does for people. I like what happens to people's hearts. What I see happen to people's hearts by the end of it. It's a pretty epic transformation. It seems like they almost have a greater spark in their eye after being through the foundation. But that's kind of like the woo-woo feel-good stuff. If you want to make a great impact with the product that you want to build, wow, screw that. I mean, let's see, hold on. There's something that I need to say. I love the opportunity to teach people entrepreneurship, and I am getting to the point where I would be tired of it if I kept doing it. So I'm giving all of my energy that I can to teach entrepreneurship one last time. And so I'd like the chance to teach as many people as possible, to create as many Chandler Bolts, to create as many Carl Madiolas, to assist as many John Logers as possible. And my heart behind this is just, if you come on the foundation and just give me the chance to sit with you, I can usually feel into your heart, feel into the space that you're at, feel into your current mindset, and give you the exact language that you need to unlock whatever's been locking you in place, and to consistently do that over a 6-month period till you're just rocking. And it says, well, the last thing that a lot of the success books, you read Napoleon Hill, you read Think and Grow Rich, you read Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I haven't really heard the success books talk about something that I refer to as the law of momentum. And it just can take a lot to get yourself up just to get the momentum. So it's not something that you just come out of the gate at 200 miles an hour. You come out of the gate crawling, then you start walking, then you start running, then you build rollerblades, then you build a bike, then you build a car, and then before long you build a Porsche, right? this law of momentum is the first month or two is miserably slow. Just like if you've been overweight and you try to work out, your body's not usually very happy that first workout. So the law of momentum is something that I love to help people break through. So please do join the foundation. Please do buy it. Nathan, I was on an interview with Nathan Lacker for The Top. He's like, Dane, if you're such a generous person and you want everyone to be rich, why not give the foundation away for free? I said, well, that would go against my basic beliefs of capitalism. Why do we charge $5,000 for the foundation? Well, that's just because that's what I think the value is. I think the value is $5,000. So for me to not charge what the value is, or for us to not charge, is a pretty fun conversation and talk about, well, why charge $5,000? Well, that's because that's what we think the value is. So it's really, over the next week, we're probably going to educate you guys with what the foundation is. We'll try to make ourselves available. In past foundations, when I was more aggressive with marketing and sales, there might have been a little bit more persuasion going on consciously and unconsciously. In this class, I think Andy and I are both embodying a more relaxed approach where it's really just more about educating you on all the aspects of the foundation so you can make a fully informed decision. So you're not on the fence. You're either clear about a yes or no.
Yeah, I want to talk about the momentum piece for a moment. I remember when I first started studying Evan, he talked about escape velocity. And he talks about the idea of a rocket ship and how a rocket ship burns 90% of its fuel in the first few minutes of takeoff. But then once it gets outside of the Earth's gravitational pull, it can use a little bit of fuel to create massive shifts in direction that it goes. And I find that that's really true with entrepreneurs. Especially if you look at some of the past foundation students, it took a lot of energy to get them off the ground and to get to where they're at. But now when you get to that point, once your business is off the ground, it's got that momentum going for you, you can actually, it's not that you can coast, it's that you can make changes that are significant with much less effort and energy because you built the muscles that allow you to do that. And if you want to get past that escape velocity, or if you want that escape velocity and to get past that gravitational pull as quickly as possible, I don't think there's a better program in the world than the foundation to help entrepreneurs do that. So if you're interested, make sure that you apply tonight so we can check out your application. We're going to open on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. will be when the cards open. And we're going to be doing a special bonus for the people who join. So for the first 100 people who join, you're going to get a private one-on-one call with either me or Dane for 30 minutes to help you at any point throughout the foundation. So make sure that you're on at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. And if you're one of those first 100 people who sign up, we'll make sure that you get one of those sometime throughout our 6 months together. You're muted.
Yeah, final piece for me. They're 3 minutes over. One of the things I'm working on is my next album as an artist, and the album is called The Vow, and it's The Vow. What were you born to do? And this album is an entire compilation of 10 songs that you listen to and guide you into your life purpose and then living it fully. And in one of the songs we talk about the fact that all you need is a runway to take off and fly. So if you're not in the air, if you're not flying, it's likely because no one has given you actual runway to run long enough to build up that momentum till you can get up in the sky. And if you haven't been successful as you want to, just think about the fact that, well, have you ever been given a runway? What happens when you start to run down it? Do your knees get clipped? Do you fall? Do you fall on your face? Does one person say that's a dumb idea and your heart's really sensitive so you collapse? Has anyone ever given you a runway? For me, no one ever gave me a runway for music. So I built a runway in business for 13 years. It took me 13 years to build a runway, and now I built a runway in the foundation for people, and now I built a runway for my music career to take off and fly. So just remember, if you guys could just remember to yourself when the songs come out, January, February, but just remembering to yourself, all you need is a runway to take off and fly. The foundation could be your runway. I hope you take advantage of it. Andy, thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for listening. And I'm done with my stuff.
Done with your ranting. A couple things in comments. Finn says, I'm happy foundation is expensive. It gives me a massive amount of commitment putting down that much money. Amen. Not only does it give you commitment, but it makes sure that you're surrounded by people with that same level of commitment. And I think that's one of the reasons the foundation community is one of the strongest communities, I think, online in the entrepreneurship circles. And Dr. Doug says, in terms of charging, people tend to commit to the level they have paid to. Beautiful. If there's no more questions, we're going to wrap. Again, just letting you know, applications will be reviewed this weekend. Cart will open on Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. If you're interested, make sure that you apply. Make sure you're on at 10 a.m. Mountain Time to get one of those spots to get private one-on-one calls with me and Dane sometime throughout the foundation. We've got 72 viewers left. 73 now. Crack Coden says, I'm sold but really struggling to find $5,000. To Crack Coden, we are in a month if you want to do that option. And we've got if you guys join, you get John Loger's Fastest Path to Cash course, so that you can learn how to generate cash quickly with consulting during your time in the foundation as well. And I would say you can probably figure something out if you have to. Ben says crack code and you can do it. I love that. All right, guys. Any other questions? We've still got 72 people. It's so interesting. Finn says, is there going to be any one-on-one coaching, like short strategic sessions? Finn, we will be doing open Q&A calls. So people that get called in and who have the questions the most people want to hear about will get one-on-one attention on those calls with us in a group style setting. Otherwise, you have to be one of the first 100 to get those one-on-one coaching sessions. Mike, mention that course again. Mike, at one point in the foundation, we hired John Loger to come and teach a course called the Fastest Path to Cash, which is John's way of generating cash quickly through consulting. So that's going to be a bonus that we offer to this year's class. Like we said, we're just making this year's class one of the most epic classes that we put together. So that will be a bonus if you guys sign up. Kirill says, I'll plug it in as well. Foundation is absolutely worth it. Anico says, correct code and same here. Christopher says, I didn't have it when I started and I found a way. Adrian says, hey, Dane and Andy, I've been accepted and waited for William to send me the invite. How do I share I'm one of the 100? Adrian, make sure you're on at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. That's the most effective way to make sure you're one of the first 100 people. It's so fascinating. We're at 74 viewers now. We're like climbing.
It's because of how good looking we are and humble.
It's one of those two things.
I speak truth. You guys imagine. Okay, so you join the foundation, you get in, you get the mindset content, you start rewiring your mind, you start having the conversations, then you find your first painful product idea, then you're learning how to sketch a solution right in front of your face, then you get your first pre-sale, then you usually need to take a break because you're like, holy crap, what just happened? Is this actually my reality? Usually what happens is the results come in faster than you're able to handle them. So you slow down, you back off. 6 months is actually a tremendous amount of time for most people. In the very first software roundtable, I had some of our students start a month and a half late. Some of our students took a month off. The 6 months is really set up because, you're a human being, you need a break, you fail a lot. But just imagine, as soon as you start joining, the momentum that comes up, the conversations that you start to have, the friendships that start to form, there is a zest. There's a zest feeling that comes with it. You start living in the creative spark, and then you find that first idea. I think we've had one student, he had a product for watch manufacturers that he found in the first month one time, and then I just actually got a text message. Andy, I didn't tell you this, but I got a text message from one of our students that had his first $1,000 day.
Who?
His name's Mark. $1,000 a day recurring, by the way. And he's doing it he created a freaking Google Chrome toolbar.
Whoa, interesting.
Google Chrome toolbar. So, you know, we'll have him in the program, you know, probably, you know, as an example of what you can do. But imagine, you know, you don't even make a full-fledged SaaS. You just make a little Google Chrome toolbar, $1,000 a day, and it's a Google Chrome toolbar that helps Amazon sellers with something with their Amazon business. You know, and so they're really willing to pay for that. But, you know, it's a big mindset shift to sell tools instead of go out and do, you know, so a lot of people go out to start an Amazon store. We say, don't go do an Amazon store unless you really want to, you can. Don't go do an Amazon store. Instead, sell tools to all these people that are chasing the gold rush of the Amazon. So, you know, that's what he did, because we're very strategic. We're meta, a little more meta. And so, yeah, $1,000 a day. He sent me a text and, yeah, did a Google Chrome toolbar. So, I mean, $1,000 a day, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of cash.
You know, that's a lot of cash. It's and that's a life well lived. $1,000 a day. He's got a family. He stays at home with them. He works on the sofa. He had an Amazon store, by the way. He actually joined the amazing.com program. Great guys. And he did it. He built an Amazon store. But as that program kept getting more popular, his sales started declining. So he looked for other options. So he got into the sustainable businesses software. And yeah, I think the Google Chrome toolbar was like, oh, that made me turn my head.
Did you see what Nathan's been doing?
Nathan who?
Vodka?
I can't even keep up with what Nathan's doing.
Dude, he's so smart. If you guys haven't watched Nathan's interview, it was probably the best from the summit. I hesitate to say that, but it was damn good. And what he's doing is he's finding, so, oh my God, it's so smart, man. Google Chrome toolbars, you can go in the marketplace and you can find these toolbars, these tools that people have built. And most of these are developers building them. And then they'll just get natural traction from the marketplace. And he's finding ones that people built like 4 years ago and are tired of having. And he's acquiring them for pennies on the dollar. So while people will spend 2 years to build an email list of 5,000 people, he went and acquired one Google Chrome toolbar option called Send Later, which had 20,000 people subscribed to it. An email list of 20,000 people for $750. That was the first one that he bought. And he just bought another one that has, I can't remember the exact number. It has over 2,000 reviews on the Google Chrome store. And that's what he's doing now. He's buying all of these little tiny things and then optimizing them like crazy. And he's going to try and build a portfolio of them, is what I'm imagining. Are you listening? No.
Yes, I was definitely listening. I've been getting you the guy's name of the Google Chrome toolbar.
Nice.
1,000 users in my first $1,000 day. It's completely changed my family's financial position.
Nice. Send me a screenshot of that text.
Yeah. Mark Crawford.
Anico says, 5K totally worth it. I think the value of this program is way higher. It's too much when you don't have it and have no monthly income. Doing that is my struggle. Crack hood, nice haircut, Andy. Thanks.
I like your haircut too, Andy.
I love this one.
A lot of people really thought that we were humble and good looking, by the way. And by a lot of people, I saw one person say it, and I really wanted to believe it, so I turned it into lots of people. So,
now we're starting to see numbers go down. 65.
all right. Apparently, we're not as good looking as I thought.
I'm surprised. I haven't gotten it.
All right, homie. Well, I need to go.
Thank you for all showing up. Make sure you guys apply. And we hope to see you guys on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. That's when card opens. Our first class will start the first week of January. And you're going to have us for 6 months, twice a week. You, me, Dane, and Andrew Warner, helping you figure out how to build a business that funds your lifestyle the way that you want it to. So,
and it's not hard in like an impossible way. It's just hard in that you'll need to face a lot of your own personal demons kind of way. It's really a pretty mechanical, it's generally what I found a really mechanical process. You just kind of go through the motions. So what makes it hard is, what I've seen is, it makes it hard is you have to learn a new skill while practicing a new skill while facing your inner demons. So if you're willing, if you're and loving yourself enough to make that decision. So I guess that's it. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everyone. I'll see more of you soon.
Beautiful, guys. Thank you all very, very much for coming out to the summit. This has been an absolute blast to help with you all. If you guys want the recordings, to the summit, stay tuned and look for an email from us tomorrow. We're going to share with you exactly how you can do that, how you can get them. Most people sell these recordings for $200 to $300 for all of them, and we're not going to. We're going to give you a much better option. So with that being said, we are stoked to be a part of this with you. Thank you all for checking this out, and look for some emails from us coming over the next week or so. Signing off.
Bye.